Welcome to this quick video on the 6 simple steps you can follow to identify what you want to have, be, do, or change in your life. It's a new year and a clean slate. Looking back over the previous year, if you could change one thing, what would it be? And where do you see yourself at the end of this year? A sense of purpose is essential to success, effectiveness, and well-being. Those without a clear idea of what they're doing and why will not have the foundation to keep going in the face of change. In 2020, I saw a video on awakening the self. At first, it was discouraging, mostly people talking about how you should simply walk away from anything you're doing that isn't bringing you joy, so that the universe can reward you handsomely for following your life purpose. Now, I'm sure you've heard that message many times over the years, and I, for one, don't find it particularly encouraging or realistic. Most of us can't just walk away. In fact, I wrote an entire book about why I disagreed with this idea called Will Work to Feed Dogs: 7 Steps to Identifying Meaningful Life Work Now. But then one of the teachers laid out a plan for making this kind of self-awakening happen, which included articulating your life's purpose, creating a vision of what it would be like if you were to live it and be it, and understanding what holds you back from doing that. They also talked about the importance of believing that your plan is possible. I remember that after the video, I actually wrote in my journal, "No, I don't believe." But then I decided to follow some of the advice I wrote about in my 5th book, The World is More Than We Know, about being willing to change doubt into belief. And so I fastened my seatbelt and got to work. I used the steps they outlined to create my own version of a self-awakening in order to help me identify not just my life purpose, but anything I might want to have, be, do, or change in my life. And all of this is the foundation for what I'm going to share with you today in this video. Notice the quote on this slide. It's one of my favorites. Not knowing what you want to do with your life is no joke. It's painful to be without direction. There are 6 basic steps that you can follow to find a direction for your life. This is what I want to have, be, do, or change. This is why I want it. This is what my life will look like when I reach my goal. This is how I'm going to reach my goal. These are the roadblocks, obstacles, or challenges I might encounter. This is what I'm willing to do to either avoid the roadblocks, obstacles, or challenges, or reduce their impact in order to reach my goal. So let's take a closer look at each of these steps. Let's start with first things first. We're going to look at the first 3 steps, statements, that is. The first 3 steps are shown on this slide. This is what I want to have, be, do, or change. This is why I want it. This is what my life will look like when I reach my goal. The focus is on the what and the why. So as you're working through these statements, you want to be as specific as possible. The more detail you add to the what and the why, the better chance you'll have of reaching your goal and achieving success, because you'll know exactly what success looks like. Regarding what your life will look like, think about what your daily life might look like when you reach this goal. How will you spend your time? For example, I have goals for 2025, and they include exercising for physical fitness, yoga, strength, and balance, in-person socializing, volunteering to find new therapeutic stories. I am a therapeutic storyteller, and to feel less isolated, taking art classes in painting, sculpting, weaving, and stained glass, and learning Gaelic. Note the specifics. I spelled out the types of exercising in art classes, not just exercise and take art classes. I articulated why I want to do more in-person socializing. I even chose a language that I want to learn in 2025. So now it's your turn to answer these three statements for first things first, the what and the why. Now, to become familiar with how this works, I want you to pick something from your own life and complete the first three steps. Use something real. Keep in mind that it doesn't have to be dramatic. Even small shifts in habits, beliefs, goals can lead to significant changes over time. But that said, you should pick one that seems believable, achievable, and worthwhile, which will help you stay motivated. Now, you can either stop the video here and complete these first three steps or come back to it later. Now, as you work through the steps, ask yourself this: was it harder or easier than you expected? Any surprises? This is always useful if you find you're challenged by some of these. For some people, this is the first time we've even had an opportunity to give ourselves the chance to look at what I want to have, be, do, or change in my life. Okay, we're going to move on to the next three steps. Again, notice the quote. Commitment means doing whatever has to be done to get anywhere worth going, regardless of the nature of the obstacles that you face. So now this is the deep dive, the how of what you want to have, be, do, or change in your life. The last three steps are shown on this slide. This is how I'm going to reach my goal. These are the roadblocks, obstacles, and challenges I might encounter. Notice it doesn't say will, it says might encounter. And the last, this is what I'm willing to do either to avoid the roadblocks, obstacles, or challenges, or reduce their impact in order to reach my goal. Now, for that first step, think about these as actions you intend to take. These are the things you're going to do. You identified what and why you want to have, be, do, or change in the first three steps. Now you're going to figure out how you're going to achieve your goal. And that's critical to personal success. Now, keep in mind that the actions, just like your overall goal, must be believable and achievable. For example, say you choose find financial stability as a goal for your life. One action you might take is set up a budget. That's how you're going to do it. But if you don't know how to set up a budget, the action might not be achievable, and now you've reached a possible obstacle. So to overcome this obstacle, you might have to add some additional actions like finding someone who can show you how to set up a budget. For the second step, roadblocks can be anything from a literal obstacle to something more nebulous. For example, do you find yourself actually creating obstacles to your success? Heck's fourth law of procrastination states there's no time like the present for postponing what you don't want to do. For some people, just getting started on anything is a major obstacle, especially if you don't believe that you will ever be able to have, do, be, or change anything in your life. I'm going to give you an example of a literal obstacle that I actually faced in 2024. My goal for 2024 was to achieve financial independence so I would have more time in my daily life to pursue those things that I had spelled out: exercising, in-person socializing, taking art classes, learning gallery. One of the actions, the how I would take to reach my destination, was to save a specific amount of my income by December 2024. I created a very detailed budget with weekly and monthly goals I wanted to meet. That was the how. I knew that a possible roadblock that I might face would be an unexpected expense I hadn't planned. Then in October, my 40-year-old furnace decided to bite the dust, which took a huge bite out of my savings. So now I had a choice, which is at the heart of the last step shown on this slide. Step 6 is all about willingness and being honest with yourself about how far you might go to stay the course on the direction you've chosen. Looking at my own example, I had to figure out what I was willing to do. Fortunately, completing all the steps that I'm sharing with you today helped me to know that I would not be able to achieve financial independence by the end of the year because my goal of saving a specific amount of money was not negotiable. I was not willing to change that goal. So back I went to my original goal and came up with a revised plan that would allow me to reach that goal, achieve success by the end of March of this year, 2025. Okay, so now it's time for you to complete these statements. You can stop the video here or come back later to it and give it a try. Of course, as you work through these statements, ask yourself again, was completing these harder or easier than you expected? Any surprises? What I usually find is the concept of willingness is critical to success. It's just as important to identify what you are not willing to do as it is to identify what you are willing to do. Again, notice the quote on this slide. The most important step of all is the first step. Start something. Not only is taking that first step less difficult than you may imagine, but it may change your life in wonderful ways. So, keeping that in mind and thinking about those 6 steps, here's the first step and some next steps to take as well. Get started as soon as possible and keep moving forward. Don't put it off. Get started as soon as possible. Number 2, be willing to re-examine and change direction if you need to. And then number 3, hold space for it being achievable in advance. Hold space is a concept many of us are using now. It simply means really focus on it, believe in it, know that it can happen. Now, regarding number 2, this is essential because anything can go awry. Remember that Barbara Shear quote that I gave you about it being painful to be without direction. But having to take a detour along the way, as I did last year, doesn't necessarily mean that the goal is now out of reach. Think about taking an actual road trip and what happens when we take a wrong turn. If we're using GPS, we put in where we're starting, we put in where we want to go to our destination. But any number of things can happen along the way. And when that does, what happens with our GPS? It simply recalculates the route for us. The destination is still there. You just need to be willing to find an alternate route. And the same can be said for reaching your goal and achieving success. Regarding number 3, to my mind, this is the one that is most important and that even I sometimes have trouble with. Because if you can't see it, you can't be it. Hope begins in the dark, the stubborn hope that if you just show up and keep moving forward, you'll reach your goal. You wait, you watch, you work, you do not give up. So I hope you enjoyed this short video on 6 simple steps to identifying what you want to have, be, do, or change in your life. If you'd like to go deeper into this subject, you can purchase the replay of the Destination Personal Reinvention webinar, in which these steps and a lot more are outlined. The cost is only $15. Send an email to cracksinconsciousness, all one word, @gmail.com for information on how to purchase the webinar and view the replay. And we've come to the end of our time together. I hope you found some insights about how you can define what you want to have, be, do, or change in your life, and maybe a little courage to take that first step. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be posting webinars and other tips and tricks throughout the year. And give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Thanks for joining.